In the first half of 2022, Netflix lost an estimated 1.2 million subscribers. News came as quite a surprise to many, but others claim to have seen the signs of decline for some time. Investors have been fleeing en masse as stock prices fell nearly 70% from 2021 highs. So what exactly is going on at Netflix? Can we expect the downward trend to continue, or is this merely an aberration? For a company that boasts a staggering 220 million subscribers worldwide, a loss of a million or so shouldn't be a big deal. But the losses mark Netflix's first quarterly subscriber losses in more than a decade. The media giant has nearly always trended up, not down. So what are the issues causing subscribers to flee? Is the biggest streaming platform in the world, the company that completely changed the rental, movie, and television industry as we know it, now a sinking ship?
News for Netflix users, the streaming giant is hiking up those prices.
Early Netflix was without a doubt one of the best values in entertainment. For $8 a month, subscribers could choose from thousands of video options and stream them for an unlimited amount of time. The deal was just too good to ignore. Customers would sign up by the millions, making Netflix an industry game changer and a household name. But things have changed. In 2022, the days of the absurdly good value are long gone. After multiple price increases, the current standard plan in the US costs $15.49 a month. That's nearly double the original price, a jump that's occurred in just over 10 years. Long-term inflation is to be expected, but Netflix is now the most expensive video streaming service of all. And while prices have risen, people have actually been getting less product than before. Netflix has lost the streaming rights to thousands of videos over the years, making a product that once seemed an unbeatable value now pretty average. Many people still think it's very much worth the price, but nobody enjoys getting a monthly bill increase. The numerous price hikes have added a cloud of negativity over the Netflix name. In 2014, Netflix had 6,500 movies available for streaming in the US. But as recently as 2020, that number has dropped closer to 4,000, a nearly 40% drop. Some studios, such as HBO and Disney, have chosen to create streaming platforms of their own. With many studios taking their movies elsewhere, there's no doubt Netflix has lost many of the highly rated movies it was able to hoard a decade ago. Over time, as the video streaming industry has grown, movie rights have gotten much more expensive, putting Netflix into an increasingly bad position. Studios were gaining leverage in the bargaining process, and Netflix was finding its costs dramatically rising.
It has come at a big cost. They are expected to spend about $19 billion this year on content.
Seeing their lack of control over the situation, they started pumping more and more money into producing original content. The hope was to build a stable of homegrown, controllable content, and for a while, most customers were happy with it. But many subscribers today claim that the quality of that content is dropping, feeling that as Netflix has grown into a juggernaut, it has gotten more complacent. But ultimately, what people think of the content is subjective, and everyone is going to come away with their own opinion. But what if viewers were to follow their favorite movies to another platform? Is it possible they would find the grass to be greener on its latest platform?
We're about to start our very own streaming service.
Without a doubt, the biggest threat to Netflix thus far has been the rise of competing streaming services. No longer is Netflix a one-stop shop. With loads of new services, content has been divvied up, increasing the need for customers to have more than one subscription. Many other services are rising rapidly, including Disney Plus, which has over 130 million subscribers globally. In an effort to gain market share, other streaming services have gotten craftier, offering additional benefits with their subscriptions, such as free shipping with Amazon Prime and live sports with Apple TV. Video content as a whole is readily available, so much so that the market appears oversaturated. While competing services are surely enjoying the increase in market share, smart companies should heed the warning signs. What bodes for Netflix most likely bodes for its competitors as well. When Netflix share prices fell, so did those of other streaming services.
The market is growing increasingly concerned about the R word, right? I mean, recession is everywhere, inflation is everywhere, and those fears are growing.
But there's no doubt that the playing field is leveling out. With Disney Plus and others on the rise, many customers are questioning whether Netflix is still the best service. Investors are almost certainly asking where future growth is expected to come from. With its huge user base, it's not crazy to think that Netflix might have reached a ceiling on its growth. But the people at Netflix think the future isn't nearly as gloomy as it seems. For starters, there are a few outside factors that can explain many of the recent losses. For one, the world is only just starting to get back to normal after 2 years in a pandemic. How many of us binge watched for days on end at a time when there really wasn't much else to do? The COVID years added some 25 million Netflix subscribers subscribers and stock prices skyrocketed. It doesn't seem all that surprising that those numbers would level off a bit after cinemas and the rest of the world reopened. The entire global economy has been staggered by the pandemic, not to mention the war in Ukraine. Consumers are facing higher prices on nearly everything, not just Netflix. This has no doubt led to cost cutting, and video subscriptions are rather easy to chop.
When it comes to these streaming services, the appeal is that you can sign up quickly, but you can also drop them quickly.
But there are still a few other reasons Netflix feels optimistic about its future. Coming soon to a Netflix near you, ads, at least for users who opt to save a little money. Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos confirmed that the streaming service would begin using a new ad-supported subscription tier for users searching for something a little cheaper. The downside to this is that ads will push Netflix one step closer into looking like the traditional cable model that it sought to replace in the first place. But for users who don't mind a few extra breaks during the movie, a cheaper option might be welcome. With competitors such as HBO Max and Hulu already providing ad-supported tiers, the model seems to be worth a shot. And if you're the type of person that hates ads, you can still purchase the standard ad-free but higher priced option. Netflix is currently in the testing phase of a password sharing crackdown with hopes of expanding the initiative in the future. The belief is that customers sharing passwords with people outside of their primary household is costing Netflix millions of potential customers. The proposed solution is to add a small fee to subscriptions in which accounts are used outside of the primary home. While Netflix doesn't mind the sharing of passwords with family members, they are hoping to hinder the use of password sharing with outside people such as neighbors and friends. And travelers wouldn't need to worry, as Netflix plans to allow the use of accounts outside homes for up to 2 weeks. With less people borrowing accounts, Netflix hopes that at least some of those people will opt to pay for their own account. One of Netflix's most undeniable strengths is that it is a huge global phenomenon. With a presence in nearly every country in the world, it's clear that the Netflix reach is far and wide. The company believes that the bulk of its future growth will come from new subscribers outside the US. With millions of homes expecting to gain broadband access in the coming years, it seems there might be plenty more room to grow. The company is pushing to greatly expand its international production resources in hopes of creating other non-English hits such as Squid Game. The hope is that growing their non-English library movies will attract more international customers. With more and more streaming services expanding internationally, Netflix is taking nothing for granted in its goal to be the premier video streaming service worldwide. So what is the future outlook for Netflix? Will it go the way of the Titanic, or will it sell off merrily into the sunset? Despite subscriber losses, the company actually managed to increase its profits year to year. Their biggest subscriber losses came from the US, Canada, and Russia, but elsewhere subscribers have continued to grow. Netflix has addressed shareholders, and they firmly believe that producing new, quality content will win out over time, and that despite recent hiccups, the future looks bright. With continued global expansion, dedication to producing quality content, and the introduction of more flexible options for viewers, Netflix is unlikely to sink just yet. But the next few years should certainly be worth watching as the future of Netflix and the streaming market as a whole unfolds.